What up, guys? Welcome to the Son of Wonder. I have just witnessed Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and it was something, so let's conversationize. Alright, guys. This movie was very interesting. It is very hard to put into words exactly how I felt about the movie, how to explain what did and didn't work for me. But I will try my best. And this is a spoiler review, so be warned. Heavy spoilers. Starting off with the basic story, the evil goddesses, played by Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, I hope I pronounced their names correctly. Helen Mirren is Hespera, and Lucy Liu is Calypso. And they have returned from exile to take their vengeance on Shazam and his family because they, in their minds, stole the power of the gods. That's the basic conflict that they have with the Shazam family. And I mentioned in my review of the first Shazam movie that I do have very heavy criticisms for Dr. Sivana as a villain of that movie. I think he's way too generic. I do think that these villains are better than Sivana. Not by a lot. They didn't turn out to be as compelling as I wanted them to be. There's a few more dynamics and a few more things that make them more interesting, but overall not as great as I wanted them to be. Also, the tonal problems that the first movie had with Shazam and Freddy goofing off, and then immediately afterward, Sivana releases all the demons in this horror scene on people. That not meshing well at all, not making any sense. There are some of those issues in this movie, for sure. There's one scene where this nice principal, even though you've only known him 2 seconds, he's nice, but he's possessed by Calypso to jump off a building and destroy himself. And it's like this really intense scene all of a sudden with the villains, and Freddy's freaking out because he's the principal of his school and he's nice, and he just destroys himself because Calypso mind controlled him. So you have that scene, but then you have like some joking immediately before that, and then that insanely intense thing happens, and then you have some joking afterward. So there are definitely some issues with it. The opening is a little dark too, and I just do not think the horror dark aspects that they keep wanting to add to these movies works with the Shazam goofy, lighthearted kid turns into a superhero aspect. But the main Billy Batson story of the movie is they're trying to tell a story about how he's become really emotionally attached to his family. He loves his foster family now, and he doesn't want to leave them, unlike in the first movie when he wanted to do everything by himself. Now in this movie, he doesn't want to do anything without his family and without his super friends, basically. But he's gotten a little too attached, like he literally doesn't want to do anything without them, and he wants to stay as a family group, and he's like apprehensive about them doing anything by themselves. Like Mary, his sister, wants to go to college. Freddy sometimes wants to just be a superhero by himself for a little bit, and he's having issues with that. And that's supposed to be like the main story of Shazam in this movie. Problem being, there's so much other stuff going on that the meat of that story that they're trying to tell, which I think is a decent one, does not get enough time to shine in this movie. There is also this plot point where Billy is scared because he doesn't want to leave his family, but because he's 18 now, he's about to age out of the foster system, so he thinks that they're gonna kick him out. There's this nice emotional scene later where the mom comforts him and says, "You don't have to leave. We love you. Now go kick some butt." Because at this point, the foster parents in the movie do find out that the kids all have superpowers and are superheroes. So that's a nice emotional moment, but so much of the rest of the movie is just jokes and cheesiness. Like, honestly, even the acting, pretty much from everybody, honestly, could have been better. It's just the way they decided to tell the story with everything else going on did not serve the story well. And the quality also really just isn't there. Like, the CGI is fine, and I guess the story works on a basic level, but it's like bare minimum, and there are definitely a lot of issues. The tonal issues, one, and also just some straight up cheesiness. Like at the end of the movie, there's all these different monsters like cyclopses and flying like banshees or whatever attacking the city because the goddess Calypso has gone nuts, and she's put this apple in this baseball stadium, and it grows this giant tree and the roots form like these cocoon things that release these monsters. Like, that's how nuts the finale gets. And apparently there's these like insanely monstrous unicorns, insanely dangerous creatures that you don't want to be around at all, but they like sweet stuff. So the little girl of the foster family decides to use Skittles and feed the unicorns Skittles so they can ride into battle with an army of unicorns, riding on them to stop the rest of the monsters. Yeah, that was a no-go for me. That didn't work. Yeah. Riding an army of unicorns into battle and feeding them Skittles. And there's two moments where the little girl is like, taste the rainbow. Yeah, this is not getting any better the longer it's going on. Not getting any better. She even starts to like say a cuss word when she's riding off in the battle, like, taste the rainbow, bleep. And then the unicorn like roars and makes it inaudible. But it's just such, that whole idea is just dumb. It's just dumb. It just does not work at all. That definitely puts a damper on the finale as you're watching it. And I mean, you're always going to have fun with Zachary Levi's Shazam. He's always going to be charismatic and funny. You're always going to have some funny moments with the family and the banter back and forth. Honestly, Freddy in this movie does elevate the movie. He's just as charismatic as he was in the first movie. Has a lot of funny moments with the wizard when he gets captured by the evil goddesses and is put in the same cell as the wizard. They give Freddy a girlfriend in this movie who's also one of the sisters, but she's a nice goddess. Her name is Anne. She stays on Earth to learn more about Earth culture, and she's Freddy's girlfriend now. So again, like, okay story. It's not the best, but there are some fun moments. It's just the cheesiness of the finale. Right before the insane climax of the finale, where Shazam fights Calypso on this dragon made out of wood for some reason, in this magic dome, using the staff that the goddesses have used to take away the other heroes' powers. So Shazam is the last family member left with powers, so he ends up getting the staff, using it to fight Calypso and the dragon, because Calypso's lost her mind and trying to destroy everything. Even Hespera ends up helping by the end of the movie, because she's not as evil as Calypso, even though earlier in the movie it seemed like she was. So that's a little weird. But Shazam, like, it's an epic climax, really serious scene from like the beginning of him going to fight her and the actual fight, and it ends with Shazam stabbing the dragon with the staff into the magic tree and saying Shazam, and then the lightning comes down and destroys everything. And destroys Calypso, and destroys the dragon, destroys everything. And Billy dies. Shazam dies. And there's this really emotional scene with Freddy as he mourns over Billy, his best friend. He's sobbing over him. Really tense, no jokes. And then, like, 15 minutes before that, 12 minutes before that, there was unicorns and Skittles. It doesn't work. The tonal issues in this movie almost, like, go both ways. Like, the dark stuff doesn't work with the goofy stuff, but then the really goofy stuff doesn't work with the more tense, solid, serious moments. Like, not overly dark and not horror, but, like, tense, solid, serious ones that are supposed to elevate the emotion of the story and the excitement of the story. It just does not mesh well together at all. But Shazam ends up coming back to life at the end of the movie because you get a cameo, heavy spoilers, from Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. You see her appear and you hear the Wonder Woman music from her movie, the guitar music. I love that theme for her so much. Hans Zimmer did the theme, and he always does such a great job. But I really like her cameo at the end of this movie. I think it can only honestly elevate things after the rest of the stuff you watch. She helps bring Shazam back to life by being sort of a god herself, half god. She gives the staff power again after it lost all of it in the climax with Shazam. And the staff is powered by God, so she can give it power again, and she uses it to bring Shazam back to life. And there's, of course, funny moments with Shazam being like, oh my gosh, it's Wonder Woman. Hey, if you're interested, would you like to go out sometime? So I liked the Wonder Woman cameo. I liked the story they were trying to tell with Billy. The villains are okay. But at the end of the day, it is just too much stuff going on. The tones do not match, and the story is not allowed to be told in the best way it could be. You have 2 post-credit scenes. I almost put 3 fingers, but 2. You have 2 post-credit scenes. 1 mid-credit scene and then a post-credit scene. And the mid-credit scene is Shazam almost being recruited by this character named Emilia Harcourt, I believe, who was played by James Gunn's wife, funnily enough. And the character Emilia Harcourt has appeared in The Peacemaker show. She had a cameo in Black Adam. She apparently was in Suicide Squad 2021, which I've not seen either Peacemaker or Suicide Squad 2021, but I have seen Black Adam, so I know a little bit about her character. I know that she works for Amanda Waller. But she's trying to recruit Shazam in the mid-credit scene to be part of the Justice Society featured in Black Adam. And this is kind of the part where I'm really confused, because the Justice Society was heavily featured in the Black Adam movie. Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, Atom Smasher. That was the team. They might be recruiting Shazam for that team, but the big problem is Black Adam ain't getting the sequel. They don't seem to be interested in continuing any of the plot points established in Black Adam, especially after the whole Henry Cavill fiasco. And they're completely doing away with the Snyderverse after Flash, and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is heavily featured in the Snyderverse. She's part of the Justice League, and Shazam even mentions the Justice League in the mid-credit scene. So I'm just left in this ultimate state of confusion of are we continuing this Justice Society story? Because if we aren't, why did you have a post-credit scene about it? If they're just going to do away with the Justice Society from Black Adam, because it was in Black Adam, and Black Adam was supposed to change the hierarchy of the DCEU, but that didn't happen, and now we're not continuing anything, and it just, what the mess? I don't know what's going on. It's nuts. And then the post-credit scene at the very end of the movie is basically the exact same mid-credit scene from the first Shazam movie, where Dr. Sivana is in his prison cell. This time he has a beard, because apparently he's been stuck there for 2 years in prison, waiting for the evil caterpillar, Mr. Mind, who is also teased in that same mid-credit scene in the first Shazam movie. Apparently Mr. Mind has been getting a bunch of stuff together for his plan. He hasn't freed Sivana yet, and Sivana's really mad at him for it. And they end on this note where the caterpillar is like, I'm about to execute my plan now, but I have to do this one more thing. And then Sivana just loses his mind in anger, and he's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be in here anymore, and that's the end. Now, this post-credit scene was so annoying. It's basically the same mid-credit scene that you got in the first movie that they did nothing with. None of the plot points in the main Shazam Fury of the Gods film continue that plot point of Mr. Mind recruiting Sivana and them teaming up to conquer the 7 realms or something. And we have the exact same post-credit scene here, basically, that teases the exact same thing, and you don't know if it's ever going to be continued. You don't know if it's ever going to be paid off. I don't think it is going to. It was just such an annoying thing. It was like, why is this the same thing? Because we all know that you're not going to do anything with it. Especially with the dismantling of the Snyderverse and most of the DC Universe stuff you built so far, with James Gunn revamping everything. So I didn't understand that at all. But that's my review for Shazam Fury of the Gods. It was really weird and crazy. And I don't know exactly how to score it properly. Like, again, there's definitely stuff I liked, but honestly, I'm kind of sitting at a 5 out of 10. Just because it was so weird. Just because there was a lot of stuff going on, but the quality was just not there. The writing was just not on point to be considered, oh yeah, it was so good. It's unfortunate because, you know, that's 2 superhero movies we've gotten this year, Quantumania and this one, and they were both subpar. So, thank you guys for watching. Have a very blessed day. May the Lord be with you. May the Force be with you. Goodbye. And that's a wrap.